Casey. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys too. Thank you all for joining in. This is my first one where I've had like four different people join in
Oh,
separately. So this
yeah.
is going to be pretty
Nice.
cool.
Good
We'll
job,
try
guys.
not
That's
to
cool.
all talk over each other at
This
once.
is huge.
That's okay. Okay, so I'm super excited to have you guys on today. You guys are a super cool band that I've been looking forward to talking to. So I'm just going to have you introduce yourselves to start out and tell me what instruments you play, who's the singer, what's the dynamic.
Sure. I guess I'll start as we set this up. So I'm Cody. I'm the drummer of the band and sing backup vocals live to support this guy down here for me.
I'm up here on yours.
Pass it off to you, Logan.
I'm Logan. I play rhythm guitar and I sing primarily. With all the three of the rest of them doing vocals as well.
I'm Cal. I play guitar, and then sometimes as a treat, I get to play bass.
Nice.
And I'm Zach, and I play bass, and sometimes as a treat, I get to play lead guitar, and I do some of the like production stuff as well.
Nice. So you guys switch it up a little bit. That's fun.
Mhm.
So where are you
Yeah.
guys from? Oh, sorry. Continue if you want to keep talking.
Oh, I was just gonna say we'll like switch mid-set, and it's so fun. It makes it really stressful in terms of having to practice two instruments before shows, but I think live it's so fun. It's a good moment.
I can
And-
imagine. I bet it's challenging in a good way, though.
And
Yeah.
Logan and I are like, okay, how do we entertain the crowd during this 2-minute break?
Well, I've been thinking I need to learn to play like at least a little drums, and then Cody can go up there and sing a song, and I can play drums, and that'll be a fun moment as well.
Yeah.
That would be so cool to see live. I don't think I've ever actually seen anyone do that where the whole band just like rotated instruments what they were doing.
And I'm gonna bust out my tuba.
Yeah.
There you go.
It'll be
Like
crazy.
I said, something new and unique.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where are you guys from?
So the Logan, Cal, and myself are all from Ohio. Zach also lived in Ohio for a bit, but is from Portland.
Mhm.
Nice.
Well,
nice.
and then also from Alaska, right?
Alaska.
Yeah.
So many different places.
But I feel like the genesis of the Fwango connections came out of Ohio. And we all spent time in Athens, Ohio, where Ohio University is.
Yeah. I think prior to living in LA, me and Cody knew each other decently well, and then Cal and Zach knew each other decently well. So we kind of like just once we were out here, kind of found each other because we wanted to make some music.
Nice. So you're all kind of from the same place, but also all over the place at the same time. So that's fun.
Yeah.
So where did you guys get Fwango from? Where did the name come from? How did the band become a thing?
Dude, I think
We might get in
I'm
a fight.
still learning about how that process works, but my recollection of it was we were in the studio working on our first single, and then Matt, our engineer, was like, "What do I name the file?" And then I'm pretty sure Cody said Fwango, and then we just stuck with it. But I don't know if that's actually real because I hadn't slept in a really long time.
Well,
So it could just be a part of the imagination.
Well, we had a running list of like 150 names at one point.
Oh my
But we
God.
hadn't
Like,
decided
not
on a
exaggerating.
name. Yeah, we hadn't decided on a name officially by the time we were recording the first song. And I think that was a front runner. But where Cody got us on this one for real is that Fwango is a word for here, Cody, you say what a Fwango is.
Yeah. So have you heard of spike ball before?
Yes.
Okay, so Fwango is like a trick serve in spike ball where you like serve the ball like over your head. So you say Fwango and then you serve it. And I was
I've
playing
never heard of that before. That's so fun.
So
Yeah.
we kind of
know
got
this.
bamboozled into that. We didn't know what that was either. And then we already had a song under the name Fwango. So now we're just hoping that we can become the first Fwango on Google below this or above the serve. But it's going to be a
We're hoping
process.
It's sued by Spike Ball.
Hopefully, yeah.
Are they
That's the goal.
trademarked? I guess we'll find out.
There is apparently a Fwango.com that isn't us. So
We did get a cease and desist the other day.
Yeah.
Threw it away.
yeah, I told them they'll never take us alive. So
Yeah, it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. That's really funny though. Yeah, had no clue. So you guys dropped your first single, If You Want Me to Move, in 2022. How did that song come together? I mean, you were talking about a little bit, but what was really the process like in the studio and the dynamic in there?
I think it was it was kind of cool because Logan came over to my house to jam, and I was living with this like elderly woman in Silver Lake, and we were just kind of like quietly playing guitars in my bedroom and came up with the verse chorus like basic chord structure and bass idea. And then we were like, well shit, we should probably find some other musicians to fill these parts out. And then like the first jam was in an apartment with like a tiny little kit and towels on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Cal was there and Cody was there, and that just became the song. Like literally the voice memo of that first jam is pretty much exactly how the song ended up coming out. It was like the lead line Cal wrote in that moment.
But like Zach's right, the first we recorded like 30 seconds of it, and then that pretty much is not that much different than what you would listen to if you just looked it up on like Spotify or something.
So did it all come together pretty fast with that song?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that song I think we were just really excited too. So that one we really got in the studio as soon as we could. And there's some like learning curves there too, because we hadn't all recorded the four of us together in the studio before, so we were just like learning how that works. And we had our good friend Matt like produce and engineer it too, and he was kind of like learning the ropes of like producing like a rock song as well. So it was like pretty cool to just like go in there and figure it all out together.
Was this your guys' first experience like making music in that way? Or had you kind of done your own things before?
I'd never done it.
Yeah, I had not recorded in a studio before, aside from in college for like one project.
I used to work in a studio, and I've played with a bunch of other musicians, but it was my first time. I've recorded other artists in a studio, but it was my first time being the artist being recorded in a studio, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, closest I got was recording. I recorded like a jazz EP in my friend's basement in high school, which he engineered. It was nice, but yeah, my first full studio experience.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I feel like you guys have all kind of come from different places within music, so it's cool to see that come together. And then Cover My Eyes seems to be the song that people have latched on. I mean, there's only two to pick from right now, but it seems to be the song that people have latched onto the most. So what was the process behind that one, and what does that track mean to you guys?
Well, Zach worked on that for a while, like personally, before like we got our hands on it and kind of, wrote on it a little ourselves. So Zach, why don't you say how that originated, I guess?
It was during COVID, and I was writing a ton of music every day, and I was just kind of like trapped in my little room with my organ and my piano and my guitars and my basses. And I actually found the original like scrap paper that I wrote the chords on the other day, which is kind of exciting. But yeah, I just kind of like wrote it. It started with the lead line and then progressed into like a verse chorus structure. And then I brought it to the guys, and Logan wrote like killer vocals on it and like lyrics that I really, really loved. Cal wrote a really cool chorus bass line. Cody wrote all the drums, and it turned from, my bedroom demo to four people writing a song together, which was like really awesome and like so satisfying to see produced in the end. This song that there are little phone recordings of me doodling over from like 4 years ago is very cool.
Yeah, I remember Zach showing us it at in like a rehearsal space when we were just practicing random stuff, and honestly just probably getting the first song down at that point too. And like it pretty much coming together pretty smoothly. Like we would debate stuff like, oh, how long should the pre-chorus be? Stuff like that. But a lot of the pieces were already there. I do think if you were to listen to Zach's original bedroom demo, there was kind of a vibe switch. It definitely is a little edgier than the original incarnation of it. And yeah, it was really cool to write on. I think like for me, that's like the time like writing vocals on anything has come easiest to me. I mean, I know like there's two to pick from, but we have a third one coming out too. And of the
Mhm.
three, writing vocals for Cover My Eyes just seemed like really natural.
Yeah, the original version's straight up like a dream pop song. It's very
Yeah,
like
It's very groovy.
yeah, it's very groovy. It's very like wavy synths going on and like ambient stuff, but the bones are still there. It's basically the way it is now. With the original version, I brought it to them and I was like, okay, let's do this, but like make it alternative rock with crunchy guitars and like, something a little bit more fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think like the end is really emblematic of that like tonal shift. Like I think the original, that like last, it kind of goes out and like this bang, and like that's something that kind of came as Zach was handing it to us, and we were like kind of alternative rockifying it, and like
Mhm.
so little moments like that, I think, and like the drums going into this like halftime groove at the end are things that we like as a group experimented with, and then it became a little more like rocky. And even like the guitar solo itself, that did that solo exist in the original incarnation, or was that something that was also part of like the rockification of the track?
No, that solo, I don't know if you remember, but there were like weeks and weeks where we'd practice, and every single practice I would just improvise the solo, and I'd be like, I promise I'm gonna write a real solo before the recording, guys, don't worry. And then like a day before the recording, I wrote the actual solo. I knew that I wanted a
Oh,
solo,
that is true. Yeah.
but I'm not good at soloing, so I was like, it'll happen. I'll get around to it. And then like day before the recording, or it was the day before the house show.
Backyard show. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our first show was in Logan's backyard, and
Yeah. Well, it's Cal's
That's how it
backyard
starts.
too.
Not Cal's, just Logan's. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I'll
wanna
take
play
it.
that.
I first heard that track on my friend showed me this video on Instagram and she's like, dude, you've got to check out this band. Or like it was on, I don't remember who did it, but the like walking up to random people and asking if they make music. And I think it was Logan that was the one that answered the questions about it. But she was like, this band is inspired by Interpol and the Strokes. You got to check them out. You're going to love them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I do love them. This song is great. And the thing that caught me was the chorus of Cover My Eyes. It's perfect. It's a great track.
thank you so much. That means a
Yeah,
lot.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And kind of going off the thing about her, the video and the Interval and the Strokes, I was kind of wondering who are some of your other inspirations that play into like you individually in your music and you as a band?
It's weird because I don't like looking back, if I was making that video again, I actually don't know. Like if it was outside of the context of Cover My Eyes, I probably wouldn't have said Interpol. And I honestly don't even know why I said Modest Mouse. I think like as a like my personal writing is influenced in like dorkier areas of like the alternative music like scene. Like I love like Weezer. I love more like surf rock stuff like Surf Curse and stuff like that. And I love those other bands too, but I don't feel like our music really actually did sound like Modest Mouse too much. That one just kind of came out there, but it does. I do think it sounds like Interpol. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess like Weezer, Surf Curse, Muse, I know is an influence for at least me and I think all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for me, a big influence, like which doesn't show up at all in the music, is Elliott Smith. I love Elliott Smith, and I think Elliott Smith is a big inspiration for Logan, and maybe it does.
That's true. That's true.
And like Death Cab for Cutie, Ben Folds is a big one for sure, and then like rockier stuff like TV on the Radio and Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and that kind of like that like Brooklyn, New York sound. I love that. I love interweaving crunchy guitars in any form. I don't know, Cody or Cal, if you have any other inspirations.
Cal?
For me, I'm very all over the place. The song we're dropping this upcoming week was like the bones of it came from me, and it's very like I wanted a bass line that sounded like Muse. I wanted a guitar tone that sounded like St. Vincent. I wanted vocals that sounded like Logan. And so I don't know. I just like it wasn't like one artist where I was like, I want it to sound like this. I was like, oh, I want this part to sound like this and that part to sound like that. And at the end of the day, none of it will be original. It'll all just be their property and not mine. So yeah, I'm very all over the place with my my inspirations and the music I listen to.
Yeah. I definitely come from like a classic like prog rock background. Like I grew up with my dad listening to like AC/DC, and that's like what I picked drumsticks up to. And then got into like like Rush, and like classic rock, Led Zeppelin, all that good stuff. So that's like the outro of Cover My Eyes, like that halftime breakdown was just like my like inner like kind of metal side, like loving that. But yeah, so we're an interesting blend. We're kind of lots of different pieces and different fabrics coming together.
It's like so true that Cody's like, I can see like the Rush drumming, because we'll be playing something that like I wouldn't say is pretty standard issue, but like you got your rhythm guitar playing a power chord, you got a lead line over it from lead guitar, you got a bass line holding it all together, and Cody will whip out like something really like creative and inventive that like always seems like pretty jazzy to me, like doing something a little out of left field. And I think there's a lot of cool moments on like both this upcoming song Low Light and Cover My Eyes, especially near the end of Cover My Eyes, where you can really see that like in Cody. And that I think like really like, at least for me, like listening to the stuff we all made together like elevates it for me.
Nice. Appreciate that, Logan.
I love that people say the Interpol influence, because Cal showed me who Interpol was after hearing Cover My Eyes. I like went to Cal and I was like, yo, what do you think about this lead line that I came up with for the chorus of Cover My Eyes? Because originally I didn't have one. And then I came up with that just by like breaking out the chords into a potential lead line. And he was like, oh, I love that. It sounds like Interpol. I'm like, okay, well, my bandmate says it sounds like Interpol. I should probably go listen to them. And now they're one of my favorite bands ever. And I listen to Antics all the time. And I love them.
Yeah, we
I
even
love that you brought that up.
in our live show we covered we even covered Evil by Interpol, because kind of like a nod to that.
Yeah, I love that there's a lot of that like Brooklyn scene influence. That's like the whole reason I started like interviewing and stuff, is because I love that scene so much. So like the Strokes, Interpol, yeah, Yeahs, TV on the Radio, all of them. So it just made me super excited to see a band that has those kind of influences in it. Kind of rolling off of that last question, this can be answered individually and you can say a few different answers if you want to, but if you could open for any artist, dead or alive, who would you want to open for?
Ooh, I gotta think.
Logan's answer.
Yeah, I also know Logan's answer, I think.
Yeah, it might surprise you. I'm not sure, because I have a tie. I think the second one's. I think yes. So the obvious answer is the Strokes. That's like probably one of my like top 5 bands, depending on like the moment and who's releasing what. Like they've always been in the top 5 though, and the rest of the top 5 fluctuates, And then the other people who are always in the top 5 and don't fluctuate, who I'm almost like scared to bring up because it's just like I'll never live up to this, is like Radiohead. Like if I could I would probably open for Radiohead over the Strokes if it wouldn't be so scary to play within the same couple hours as Radiohead.
Yeah.
For
Those are
me,
good answers.
the Dead or Alive completely flips it, because I'm going Dead all the way. I would totally resurrect some people to play with the Beatles. Like that would just be a show. Or like Elliott Smith, like, oh man, yeah, totally the Beatles or Elliott Smith for me. And then as far as alive, the White Stripes live show is really cool, and they're a big inspiration. I love how they'll do like the 9-piece with the violins and the guy with the slide guitar and all that. Like I love how weird and unique of a performance that is. So maybe them.
I'll give like not a like band that is older or like dead, but I've heard I saw the Backseat Lovers a couple months ago, and I was like, man, that would be like, I feel like we would really get along, just like energy wise, and like I think they're all like really like, probably younger than us, and I was like, I feel like that'd be no
No.
really.
We'll have
I
to
don't know.
check on that after the
Yeah,
interview.
well,
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll hit the Wikipedia. Sorry, go ahead.
They're young dudes. But either way, I was like, it'd be like a fun tour to like be opening up for Backseat Lovers.
It would be a horrible fit, but I would have us open for Neutral Milk Hotel.
Oh,
Just because of how rare that would be.
That would be cool.
Either them or the Mos Eisley Cantina band.
Yeah. What are they up to these days?
Yeah, they don't play anymore either.
Car seat headrest would also be fun.
Oh yeah.
He would actually have to play his show, and I got my tickets reimbursed because the last one got canceled, and I want to see him live.
Mm-hmm.
okay. I will say the guitarist for Backseat Lovers was 18 years old in 2019, so he's 24 now.
All right, you're right.
Hey, all right. Let the record
Oh.
show that Logan was incorrect.
Yeah. What else
I
is
would
new?
mix them up with Undercover Dream Lovers. Is that the band?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Is that let me throw one more in the mix. Always Alpha Phase.
Oh,
Always with two
yeah,
V's.
yeah.
Opening for them would be like awesome. They have a great live show. And
I
they
think
are kind of
I think
similar.
we'd even be a good fit. So if you know them,
Yeah.
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 I don't, but that would be really cool. I feel like those are all great answers because I can see the vibe of your music fitting in as openers for any of them. Because I mean, like we said, we only have 2 songs out right now, but I think you've covered a lot of like ground with those 2 songs, with the genres that you could go and the different ways. So those are all great answers. And you guys you played a show at the Viper Room not too long ago, right? How was your experience playing there? Because that place has a ton of history with the River Phoenix dying and Corey Taylor smashing a window, all those things. So what was that experience like for you guys?
It was awesome. It was a great show. Apparently it sounded really good from the audience, and it was really crowded, and someone crowd surfed during our set, and we all like tried really hard to be more of performers and get kind of crazy and get in the crowd and have fun. So I loved it. I thought it was a great show. I was super sweaty and really stressed out, but
yeah.
I had
I was gonna
time.
say hot was the word I would use.
Yeah.
The band before, we were on the sidewalk ready to storm in with our gear, and the band came out just dripping, and they're like, the first thing it said is like, guys, it's so hot in there. And I was like, all right, let's get this. But yeah, I remember we were pretty nervous, I think.
Yeah.
Before going on stage, because we had only played one venue. We played 2 shows, but only one like established venue. So this felt like a big step for us. And we were definitely nervous beforehand, but I mean, I think it was awesome.
Yeah, it looked like a really cool show. I just love the history of the Viper Room. So seeing you guys play there was like just awesome, fangirling over that. What do you say? You were kind of talking about the crowd surfing and stuff, but what are some of your other favorite parts about performing live, whether it be in like an actual venue or just like house shows?
It's really cool that the song that people seem to love most live is If You Want Me to Move, which is fun. It's just fun to see everyone jump around. I think people latch onto it because it was our first thing we dropped. And for a while, it was the only thing available to listen to. And so people love listening to it. That was the one the guy crowd surfed during. Shout out to Matt. But yeah, it's really cool hearing people like sing along and like get excited for something that we made. It's still a new feeling for me personally.
Yeah, I think it's like you can definitely take for granted the fact that like people are gonna show up and like listen to you actually play music, because it's so hard just in life, no matter whether it's music or anything else, to get people to pay attention to any art that you make. So it's a really like, I don't know, I like it because I feel like it motivates me to really like try my best, because it's a really validating feeling to like have a bunch of people show up to listen to something you're doing, but it's also like scary in that like you don't want to let anybody down. So I think that that's where any nerves there were coming from more than anything. But I kind of like that type of pressure to a degree. I feel like it's like a really interesting like place to put yourself in, and really cool.
Yeah. I think like my favorite part is like when you're on stage and the nerves have left and you're just like playing your instrument to the best of your ability, and like making eye contact with the other guys, and you're like, oh yeah, this is like what we've been like practicing and like texting about for like the last 2 months. And you're like, oh, now I'm just doing it and just like having fun. There's like so much effort to get to that point, and like so much promoting and so much practicing. And it's like, okay, our friends are here cheering us on. Like we're just jamming, and like it doesn't matter if there's 20 or like 80 people in the crowd. It's like we're gonna put on a good show and have fun.
Yeah,
It's nice when
the
there's 80 people in the crowd, but
the adrenaline is definitely really addicting because I get super nervous. I get such bad stage fright, but then I try to put on a persona and be like a good extroverted performer and have moments with people in the crowd and like make eye contact with people and jump around and dance around and smile, and like it's kind of the whole challenge of actually performing is really fun and satisfying to pull off, and then just falling into the flow state while you're doing that and just, you know, remembering, oh yeah, I've played instruments for like 15 years and this is what I love doing, and like all these people could just not exist and I would love doing this. It's just now I'm moving my body a lot more while I'm doing it. It's just really fun. Performance awesome. I want to do it more.
Yeah, we definitely want to
Same.
be playing more shows, and we're looking around. It's hard to balance all the schedules and get like a good show set up where you can like really do your best stuff, and that it's not going to be like Tuesday at 3 p.m., and so that's just something we're like working on right now, is just trying to get our next show set up. And because I think we all are really excited to do it and want to do it as soon as we can, especially after like practicing, like shaking the rust off between our second and third show. I think we're probably feeling like we want to get another one going, but we don't have anything quite locked down yet.
Yeah, and so kind of going off of that with working in the shows, you also have a new song coming out, which you mentioned earlier. Is there anything that you can tell me about that? Like what's kind of the story behind the track? How has that come together in comparison of the other two songs?
Well, that's a Cal story.
Yeah, it's vaguely similar to the first two in the sense that like I didn't even have a demo because I don't know how to do that. So I just showed the guys the bass line for it. And then we sort of just jammed on that for like a half hour at a practice. And then I was like, well, I should probably continue this. And so I wrote a chorus bass line as well. And I wrote a bridge. And then I sort of like, I don't know, it all happened it was very much a one at a time process for me because I don't know, I'm not the most talented songwriter in the world. So yeah, it was like me and Zach sort of working out both bass and guitar. Uh, there was a lot of just, I don't know, he and I both sort of that's a song that at first I was playing bass on and he was playing guitar on, but then we ended up switching it midway through. Um, and so we both sort of had a lot of input into both of those instruments on it, which was cool. Cody, of course, took the drums and did a lot more with it than I ever could have. So I'm eternally grateful to him because I know nothing. And Logan wrote all the lyrics and the vocal melodies. So it's very much like all of us doing our parts for it. It's not like any of us doing the entire song, but it's pretty hardcore. It's very rock and roll. Perhaps our most just like straight up rock song so far, I'd say.
I feel
Yeah.
like it's very musy. I feel like your love for music
Yeah,
through a lot.
yeah, it's apparent. If you listen to music, you'll and you know me, it's apparent that they inspired it. So hopefully people enjoy it.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure they
think
will.
this one has some cool stuff too. Like I definitely get what Cal's saying about it being our most straight up rock song, but there's also some cool stuff with it structurally. I think in the song you have like bass lead, which is really cool. Like I feel like that's, less common than you would think it is in like contemporary like rock and indie music. I grew up listening to a lot of like Harvey Danger and stuff like that. And then there is a lot of Muse that has bass lead, so I can definitely see where that came from. So I was really a fan of that. And then the last like minute and a half of the song, maybe just a minute, is like entirely instrumental, which I also think is really cool because like any room that the vocals were taking for the first 2/3 of the song kind of like is occupied by like harder, heavier guitar at the end. So it was really cool for me to like watch us like get together and build like something more like cinematic at the end of it, I guess. Like I feel like the song is kind of like a groovy like rock track for most of it, but then it becomes very like cinematic like credits music on the tail end.
Yeah.
Nice.
Also, we played that song live 3 times now, which is funny. But at the last show at the Viper Room, like that last instrumental part that Logan was talking about was just like one of the best moments of the show. Just like the energy from it, like it's just like it's an explosion, and it's just such an explosion. And it's fun. So I think when people hear that for the first time, it's like gonna like viscerally like punch them.
Yeah, it finally clicked too, I think. I think having to practice really hard to record it, because at least on my end, it's a pretty tough bass line, like physically, like over time, it's very exhausting. So I like hit the gym with it basically,
Yeah.
and was just playing it over and over and over and over, and making sure that I could play for that long, because in studio you do like 20 freaking takes of it. So now I feel like it's a lot more locked in live, and it felt like it went from being our worst live song because it's kind of hard and kind of technical to arguably our best live song because we're so locked into it, which is nice.
Yeah, I think, now that you mention it that way, I honestly think that bass especially, but I think it's our hardest song on every instrument. Like even vocals, I think it's the hardest song because like that's the only one of our songs that really has like a falsetto in there. And like, live at least it's hard. Or Cover My Eyes is harder in some ways on some stuff, though. Cover My Eyes might be harder for you. I'm not sure, Zach. Do you feel like is Cover My Eyes harder, or do you think Low Light's harder for you since you're playing 2 separate instruments?
The switch is hard, because it's like often my first time playing guitar for the day when I switch over live, or not for the day, but I've been playing bass and then I switched to guitar, so that's kind of tough. But in general, by the time we get there, my hands are really exhausted, so it's nice to have a break on guitar. The solo for Cover My Eyes is like a little bit tough, but it's only because I'm trying to like move my body and do all that. But yeah, for the most part, it's honestly pretty easy on lead guitar.
Nice. Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing that now because I love harder songs and I love Muse too. So that's going to be really fun to hear. That's about it for questions I have, but I do have one more thing that I wanted to bring up. And I wanted to start doing this with some of my interviews, but I was hoping you guys would help me curate a Spotify playlist of songs that like really inspire you guys as a band. That's kind of what I was trying to talk about earlier. And I also realized that you kind of have one of these playlists on Spotify, but I was hoping you would like each message me like 3 songs or something that kind of fit the vibe of the band or whatever you want it to be. And I would basically invite you to be a collaborator on that if you want to. And if not, it would just be under my website Spotify account. So that's up to you guys. I just wanted to put it out there if you're up for it. And if you're not, that's totally fine too.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's
no,
a great,
sounds fun.
that's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Okay. Awesome. So you can just message me those songs whenever. Doesn't have to be right away. But yeah, so that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for doing this. I can't wait to hear the song. It comes out in 4 days. So it's going to be really exciting stuff. So thank you guys.
No, thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you, Cece. We appreciate
All
the
right.
interview.
Yeah, have a great day, guys.
You
Cool.
too.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.